Hello viewers, Flash Motorsport here and welcome to Suzuka in my new Lamborghini. I thought it's time to try a new car, put the TT up to rest, and why not try this one because it's mid-engined, rear-wheel drive, an absolute rocket ship off the line, but it is a bit of an animal. I did struggle with this car initially, well I still struggle with it now to be fair, but as we come round the first corner, not much chaos is happening. Well, say that, it's pretty good to be fair. I do get overtaken by KTM and I do have a Corvette C8 next to me as well. I'm not overly fighting for this, what's going on. I'd rather everybody settle down and me sneak in. Porsche comes off the track and back on, sticks beside me. Obviously doesn't know what giving room is in the corner, but ultimately they get punted off track and I get a 1 second penalty for being rammed in mid corner. So well done Forza Stewart's, perfect analysis right there. As we're coming around here, another car goes off track and we stick to the left hand side, looking out for the 50 marker, down with the brakes, over the curb and accelerate out the other side, braking hard down to third or second gear, turning in, accelerating out the other side. Flat out down this section now until you come to the end of the curb on the right hand side and hard on the brakes down to second gear. Turning in as tight as you can, accelerating out the other side. You see the car is pretty stable, but I do find that it does have a bit of twitchiness to it. Now it's during when you're decelerating or accelerating that the twitchiness becomes obvious, and this is what I couldn't seem to get rid of, where I'm just going around the corner mid corner, not going fast at all, on zero throttle, and the back end just wants to keep creeping out. And the same if I'm holding a bit of throttle on, keep going around the corner, that the back end just wants to keep stepping out. And I tried different differential settings and things like that. I just couldn't get this car to behave in a sense that when you're going around the corner it's a lot more predictable. You see now the back end is stepping out a little bit there. I'm not even going all that fast. Braking hard down to second gear and through we go. Again, it's not too bad on this track. I've got it tamed down a little bit. I'm still not comfortable with it. I am fighting the car quite a lot. Again, I had a look at some of the recommended tunes and how to set up the car as well. Tried some of them, I found it be even worse. So I'm not too sure where I'm going wrong on that one, but there obviously is a way to have this car behave a little bit better than the way I was having it. I'm not too sure. Unless it's a characteristic of the car, let me know down in the comments below. If you've driven the Lamborghini, do you find it very twitchy going through a corner and the back end stepping out, a bit like the Lamborghini in front where the back end just creeps out all the time? And I don't mind it if it's controllable to an extent, and I found it myself a little bit uncontrollable. So yeah, that was my review of the Lamborghini right there. Perfect review, can't get any better than that. To be fair, it has a great soundtrack and it really does pack a punch. This car is absolutely brilliant for blazing speed and power. And actually when the cornering is right, it is spot on for that as well. And I actually quite like driving it, although I did fight with it a lot. It kept me right on my toes, I've got to admit that. But it's all part and parcel of the fun of this car, I've got to say. Come around here, we're trying to keep up the C8 in front. Lucky enough we are in P8 position, but we do have to be mindful of the 1 second penalty we have. So if we do overtake a car, we've got to make sure we're 1 second ahead of that car, else we will still lose that position overall, which is an absolute shame, but it is what it is and you can't always have your cake and eat it. Coming down this back straight, those two cars are leaving me for dust as we're coming down here, and wow, they really are. Lucky enough I'm in a bit slipstream. Them two are going to start fighting. It's going to get very interesting in this corner up ahead. Who's going to back out? The Lamborghini backed out and the C8 goes off track, comes back on, bit more fighting ensues. I'm too busy watching what's going on. The Acura NSX comes up the inside, so I'll give them a bit of space. Ultimately too much. Luckily enough we don't get a penalty for going off track, and sometimes you do get a bit distracted by the chaos going on and you miss your braking point like I did there. Thankfully though, this car does have a potty chip which is blazing speed, leaving that Porsche behind on the straight, looking out for just after 100 ball, braking down the fourth gear, coasting it round and down the third gear as we're coming in. I do have the NSX to my right hand side, so I am giving them space. I don't want any collisions going on. I'm slowing down for this corner now. The NSX is creeping up the inside here. and ultimately going to really take that position because I can't really fight it. They have the better line. Thankfully the Porsche wasn't able to make a move behind us, so I just got to try and keep up with R8 Ghoul up in front in the Acura NSX. Coming around here, the Porsche is catching up. They do have a better and quicker line than I have. Trying to take it as quick as I can, keeping to the left hand side, dab of the brakes over the curb, and then braking hard down to third or second gear going through here. Accelerate out the other side. You can see I made quite a gap from the Porsche behind and caught up a little bit to the car up in front. Braking hard down to second gear through here, locking up a little bit there. Luckily enough, no contact was made and I didn't really lose too much either. Coming out this corner, the Porsche has caught up a little bit and I am a little bit away from the R8 Ghoul up in front. But we are catching up right now. Letting off, looking at 100 board, braking down to third gear, coasting round this corner, and then dab on the brakes again, going round in third gear and accelerating out the other side. Hopefully with the car up in front and my power I have, I'll be able to keep up with R8 Ghoul and leave the Porsche behind. I was wanting more to be closer to the car in front, then I can work with him, push them along and keep away from the car behind, but obviously I was not quick enough. R8 Ghoul goes off track through this corner, so I'll go up the inside, looking at 100 board, braking, and R8 Ghoul does outbrake me massively, so I end up going to the back of him. And yeah, lucky enough, no penalty, and I didn't send them off to the shadow realm. The one thing I did lose on was the position to the Porsche. I was not expecting R8 Ghoul to be that slow into the corner. Again, I usually use the 100 board as my reference point to start braking, and they were obviously going a lot slower for being off track. It is what it is. I do message R8 Ghoul at the end of this race to say sorry for rear-ending you. They were saying they were trying a new line out through that corner, and it's just one of those. We came together, and thankfully they didn't see my rear-ending as an intentional act, because like I say, sometimes we all make mistakes, and that definitely was a mistake on my part because I'm the one behind. I should have anticipated better. Nevertheless, I have two cars to try and catch up, and you can see P8 is 1 second away from me now, so I'm really fighting this car to try and catch up to them. Braking over the curb, accelerating out the other side. You can see what I mean, and when you push this car a little bit, the back end becomes quite sketchy on it and wants to break loose all the time. And I just could not seem to tame it down. It was just such a struggle. It was fun though. It was fun when it was working and I was keeping it under control, but when I'm accelerating and it's totally out of control, that's when the fun stops. Anyway, coming around here, flat out, I've got to say this car really does rev high and it's got a great soundtrack to it. Looking for 100 board, braking, down to third gear, coasting it round, and then dabbing the brakes again, nice and tight through here and accelerating out the other side. Luckily enough, the two cars in front are being held up by what looks like a Dodge Viper, which gives me the opportunity to try and reel him back in. But ultimately we are on our last lap, so it is going to be quite the challenge. Coming around here, dab of the brakes, 130 miles per hour, you can go through there a lot faster. But again, this car I am not 100% confident with. Braking through here, over the curb we go, looking up the inside but don't make it work, and accelerate out the corner. I was hoping more that somebody will have a penalty by now, but obviously it was not meant to be. And we finished the race in P9 position, which to be fair, I don't think that's quite a bad place to finish, although I would obviously love to finish higher up. Hold on, we know we finish in P8. Why is that? Oh, the C8 had a 9.5 second penalty. Well, because I'm a sucker for punishment, I decided it'd be a great idea to head back to Suzuka and see if I could do any better next time around. But before we get there, I'd just like to thank our channel members, which is Andy Good and Jeffrey Anderson. Again, just like the previous race, medium tyres and the correct amount of fuel in the car. I did adjust the differential settings a little bit. As you can see, I have no rev counter, so I'll just pull up the telemetry and put it back away, and the dashboard comes back in place. Which I think is still quite weird and a bug that should be fixed by now. But anyway, braking early into this corner, letting everybody find their place in the world and trying not to get caught up in it all. You can see the cars are coming up behind me, getting a bit skittish, and lucky enough, a bit of chaos ensues behind. So lucky we're not a party of what's going on there, and we pretty much have a bit of free air, providing this Porsche gets a move on a little bit. So trying to make a move on this Porsche up in front because they are a little bit slow through here, and just getting a bit worried about the cars catching up behind and not wanting to be involved in that chaos that's going on now. Gonna look up the inside in this corner and see if we can make a move. Porsche comes back across, so I back out, more conscious about being rammed off the track. Turning in through here, I'm going to make that move work. Go straight up the inside and power out the corner because I know I have great acceleration in this car. Braking just as the curb stops, down the second gear, turning in, checking the rear view mirror. Luckily enough I don't get punted off, and trying to keep up with a nice coloured yellow Aston Martin up in front, and keeping up the inside through here, accelerating as fast as I can, and keeping to the right side, trying to look out for the 100 board, and then braking down the third gear. You see I was letting off before I was catching up to them in the corner. I'd rather give them a bit of space and apply pressure than be right up behind them, and if they brake earlier than me, end up rear-ending them. Lucky enough we make a move on this Porsche as well, so we are keeping up with the flow of the Aston Martin up in front. Gonna look out for the 100-meter board, down with the brakes, down to 5th gear, coasting it through and out the other side. The Porsche comes up on the right hand side of me right now and does a really late dive bomb move, and surprisingly enough makes it work. I also get a double dive bomb because a Lamborghini comes to play as well, which was kind of out of the blue. The Aston Martin goes off track, so it's just me and the Lamborghini coming down the straight. Lamborghini goes into the side of me a little bit, so I check in their position and what their intentions are, and I guess it was just a mistake on their part. Braking down the 4th gear, I take it up the inside line going through here. You see I was trying to recorrect the car, it's a bit skittish coming through this corner. I start out the other side and I'll have the inside line of the next corner. Well, that was the plan anyway, but the Lamborghini just sent it and there was no chance with my setup I could have done that same move. Oh, that was very skillful and well done move right there. Gotta give them credit where credit is due. Right, so if they can do it, which means I can do it. Well, I would like to think I can do it. Anyway, flat out down through here, looking out for a 100-meter board, down with the brakes, over the curb, and starting out the other side, hard on the brakes again, down the 2nd gear or 3rd gear. Coming through here, the Lamborghini does push the Porsche out the way, so it's my turn to try and make a move in this Porsche, but I eventually back off, not knowing their intentions through that corner, and really wanting to more stay on track. So with that in mind, them two are going to fight a little bit more. Well, they was going to anyway. This the Lamborghini is just quick. Right, so I just have to try and get past this Porsche really, because the Lamborghini's already done it. Braking out the 100. Well, I'm sort of past the Porsche now. They've got off track. Yeah, that's a position done quite easily there. Coming up the inside here, accelerating out the corner. See a bit of twitchiness going on there, trying to keep the car straight. Come on Lamborghini, behave yourself. We can do this together. Flat out down through this section now, looking out for the 100 board, letting off, dabbing the brakes, coming over the curb a little bit and accelerating out the other side. Again, you can do that a little bit quicker than I am. 100-meter board down to 2nd gear and turning in. Porsche comes flying in and pretty much goes off track. And that was a very late braking move they tried to pull right there. And sometimes it works like you saw earlier, sometimes it doesn't work, like you just saw now. Anyway, flat out down here, looking for the road to come in on the left side, just after the 100-meter board. Hard on the brakes down to 4th gear, coasting it through into 3rd gear and tightening it up through this corner now. Accelerating out the other side, back over to the right hand side into 4th gear, coasting through this first corner. Down to 3rd gear as we come around the 2nd corner and back over to the right hand side, and pretty much just coasting your way through this section now, keeping the speed and the momentum up without accelerating too much to upset the car. And another car has gone off track, so can't grumble at that. I think that was a Lamborghini, wasn't it? Went off track. Flat out down through here, 50 board, dab of the brakes, over the grass we go, and yeah, the grass really stitched me up there. Thankfully though, the Porsche brakes and does not try and force a move upon us, so I can only thank you for that, buddy. That's much appreciated. Braking hard down to 2nd gear, locking up that front right hand wheel again, but lucky enough not losing too much. Coming out of the corner way too hot and going off track. And again, that Porsche is probably looking at me thinking, what is he doing? You know, it's not hard to come out of a corner, but I found it quite hard. Breaking down to 4th gear into 3rd, coasting it round, going through a little bit slow here, trying to create me a bit of gap from the car behind, accelerating out the corner, flat out down this section. As we are going flat out down here, we are breaking away from the Porsche behind us. They do have a 1.8 second penalty though. I wonder what that was for. Anyway, 50 meter board down with the brakes, going through this corner, out the other side, looking out for the 100 board on your left hand side, braking hard down to 2nd gear and not locking up like I did and going off track because the steering wheel decided not to work. Generally no, I went off track because I locked up and it's my own fault, not because my steering wheel stopped working. I'm just finding all these excuses I can come up with for my poor driving this evening. Yeah, this wasn't my best take of it all. Anyway, side road down to 4th gear, coasting it through this corner, braking hard again into 3rd gear, coasting it round, accelerating it to the side. The yellow Aston is now behind me. Hopefully I don't lose another position and I can try and hold on to P10. If not, improve upon that and claw P9 back. And that's my ultimate goal. We are on our last lap, so if we're going to have to make the move, we're going to have to make it now. Coming through here, the back end's coming a bit twitchy again. Stepping out when I'm trying to keep it tamed and well controlled. It just doesn't want to be. The Lamborghini wants to shout and scream, and I just want it to be calm and composed. I guess we're just not a match made in heaven, me and this car. That's the only way I can say it and see it. So next week we're gonna have to try out a different car because we're just not getting on. It's just not working out between me and this car. Sounds like a bad date. Anyway, flat out the corner we go, swinging it round on the right hand side, keeping your toe right down as hard as you can through the floorboard, looking out for the 100 meter board on your right hand side. Hard on the brakes down to 4th gear, down to 3rd gear, coasting it through, and then you can see my rear tyres are now on minor wear, so I'm taking it a bit steady through this corner, accelerating out a little bit of a slide, but that's controlled, can't grumble at that, catching up to the Porsche in front, and if I can keep up with that Porsche in front, that means I'm going to have that position gained. I do give them a little bit of a bump draft, but ultimately I forget where we are on the track, and they brake. I sort of braked, but not enough. And lucky enough, no penalty right there. Braking at 100 meter board down to 2nd gear, turning in, coming in way too hot, sliding off the track and blocking the Aston Martin from overtaking me. You're not taking that position from me, sir. Flat out down through here. You can see the car in front is 1.2 seconds away, so we do have P9 overall. Can't grumble at that. Seems to be for me P9 is the winning location in a Lamborghini. If you want to see a car that's pretty much drives like it's on rails, click the video down on the bottom left hand screen now. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.